Hello guys, this is James and welcome back to the How to Animate YouTube channel. Today's lesson I'll be teaching you how to make a full body character jump straight up in the air. If you're new to animation, I'd highly suggest that you go and download a full body rig yourself. I'll leave a link in the description to a good website where you can download some. So let's get into it. This is our rig that we're going to be using today. It's pretty standard and I've already set him up in a base pose. So first thing to do is to start laying out our key poses. Now our first key pose is going to be the anticipation. So we're going to bend the character down and make sure the spine is also coming forward. Make sure the center of mass is in the middle. Now the arms are going to be coming back because they are going to be swinging through, and that's going to be a driving force as he comes up. Okay. Now a tip is don't be too precious with your initial posing. Okay. Next pose is going to be the stretch pose. So the character is going to rise up. His spine is going to start to straighten up. And his head is going to be up in the air. His arms are going to raise all the way up. And his legs are going to be stretched out. Okay, that'll do for now. So set a key. Next pose is going to be him at his highest point. At which point the arms will be at kind of this position here. His head looking slightly down. His chest will start to curl back towards the ground a bit. And I'm just going to offset one of the legs now as well. Okay, so that's going to be the top pose. Now he's going to be spending a bit of time up in the air, at which point we're just going to raise him up very slightly. We're going to have this leg here come up in the air, and this one starts to come down. Spine is going to move ever so slightly, as are the arms. So just give them a very slight amount of movement. He's going to start anticipating with his head as he looks towards the floor. Okay. That looks weird at the moment, but we're going to go in and fix that after. The next pose is him stretching towards the floor, anticipating the landing. So bring him down. And it's this foot here that's going to lead the landing. So make sure this leg here is stretched out. At this point it's going to be very slightly back, but the head will be down looking at the floor. The arms will be slightly raised. Like so. Okay. Okay, the next pose. Both feet are going to be on the floor at this point. And he's going to tuck down, absorbing the impact of the land. His spine is going to contract a little bit. And the arms will also come down. Like so. Okay, now I'm just going to copy my initial pose. So right click, copy, and paste it to the end, and that's going to be his final pose. Okay, so this is very rough at the moment, but you can get an idea of where the animation's going. So guys, now we've got our initial key poses roughed in, it's time to go in and start refining everything. I think the first thing I'm going to fix is the timing towards the end. You see the way the body kind of snaps up very quickly. So I'm just going to go in and adjust the timings here. So he's going to come up. He's going to be down a bit longer. Okay, so this is his down pose here. So I'm going to copy that and paste it, just to give him a few frames here where he lands. And we'll soften that bit later. And a few more frames towards the end here as he comes up. Okay. And I'm going to add a frame at the end. And here we're just going to overshoot a little bit as he stands up. So it's going to come up and then settle back down afterwards. Okay. I'm just keeping this very rough at first. Okay, doesn't look too bad. You want to make sure throughout your animation that the center of mass is correct. So make sure he's not, you see how wrong that looks? So if his hips are too far back or too far forward, that's going to look wrong. So make sure that his hips are where they need to be throughout the animation, the whole animation. Okay, now we've got that. We can open up the graph editor, and our first curve we're going to look at is the translate Y on the body. Now if you see my other tutorials on the bouncing ball, it's a very similar thing we're doing here. So this part here is the air time. And as he lands, that's going to need a bit more acceleration down to make sure that he doesn't slow down too much into it. Now, this is too soft here, so we're going to add another pose in here that's basically going to make him be down, anticipating longer. So I've just copied frame 5 and put it on frame 9. So at the moment he's completely still, but what we're going to do is take a look at that here. See the way it's completely flat? Now what we want is almost like a spring building up energy. So we want this kind of shape where it comes down like this and builds up energy, and at this point he's going to fly up. So going to break the tangent and just raise that straight up. And this key here is just acting as a controller just to tweak that rate of acceleration up. Okay, see how that looks? Okay, it's a little bit better. So I'm just going to go in and adjust this because he needs to get up in the air a lot quicker. So So I'm going to move my first frame of when he's up in the air, just move it along, just so he's up in the air quicker. And just shift that along. Okay. That's starting to look a little bit better now. So you see the way he builds up energy and release quickly towards the apex. As gravity starts to take and pull him back down, he slows down and then accelerates back down. So we're going to just enhance that acceleration a bit more. So he comes down. I think at this point he's too... You see the way he kind of seems a bit off balance here, because this foot isn't over, so his body seems too far over. So I'm just going to shift his weight over to the middle a bit more, just so he seems a bit more balanced. And this will also help as we come back here, because this foot is moving, the hips are going to be over to counter that. So just going to add a bit of overshoot on the translate X. Looks a bit spongy, it's probably a bit too much. Okay, so I think the main issue now is here. Okay, that's a little bit better. There's still a lot of wobbling going on in the body, so I'm going to try and simplify what's going on here. Okay, so as he comes down, again we want to slow down into this. So I'm just going to delete that frame there. Okay, and his body is actually going to lead this. So I'm going to move his spine controls forward. So he flings himself up using his upper body and his arms. Okay, I think he's a bit too far forward at this point. Yeah, this is the problem here. Okay, as he lands, I'm just going to bring his spine back a little bit and just shift them along by a couple of frames, so we get that lag in the body. So okay, you see we've got this kind of weird pose here, looks really ugly. I think that's because the hips. So I'm just going to go in, try and correct that. Okay, let's have a look at that. Okay, I'm going to have a look at the arms now. So I don't think that key is needed. Now the arms are going to fly up first, followed by the spine, Actually, probably at the same time as the spine. The whole upper body is what's driving this. So it's a combination of the character kicking off the floor and using that upper body to whip up. So let's take a look at the arms and what they're doing. Now, they're going to swing all the way back and almost be straight at this point. Okay, so you want a nice straight arm. Now, see this to here? That's probably way too quick. So, I'm going to select all the arm controls and just move that along. And you see the way that's kind of drawing an arc? If you follow the wrist there as it comes up, it's a nice arc coming up. Okay, and you've got a nice stretch pose. Okay, it's not looking too bad. At this point, I want the arms to be stretching up a little bit more as he anticipates the land. And I think the arms come down a bit too quick as well. You want those kind of lagging behind a bit. So I'm just going to offset the arms by a couple of frames so they lag behind. And now we've got a problem where it looks like the arms are just hitting a brick wall there, you see that? Okay, so I imagine that they're actually going to arrive at about 38, and they're actually going to be further back to balance him. Okay, we've got something weird going on with the head here. So it looks like a problem with the upper body and the head actually. You see the way it's all coming down at the same time? So we want to offset that as well. Just going to delete these frames here and create a new in between. So I'm going to offset that to 38. Okay, and at this point you want to bring the lowest part of the spine down, and we're going to do a slight spine reversal, which will give us that overlap. Looks like we've got now that's looking a bit better. You see the way the spine is now coming down. The upper spine is lagged behind. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, not too bad. I think the arc the arms draw is a little bit too wide at this point. You kind of want the arms in a little bit more there. So let's see if we can fix that with an in-between here. Okay, to me this bit here just feels a little bit too slow. So I'm just going to select all the upper body stuff and just simplify it a little bit and bring it back by a frame. I'm just going to give them a little bit more airtime. Maybe just a frame. At this point it's probably at first pass state, so in the games industry it would be a case of now getting this exported and passing it off to the programmers so they can put it in the game. This allows them to carry on with their work, and it allows you to take it on to second pass and final pass. At this point you'd also want to show your lead animator, who would give you some pointers for final polish. So I'm just going to go through and polish it a little bit. Obviously I'm not going to sit here for ages polishing it because I don't think you guys would sit through that, so but we'll do some little bits of polish here and there just to show you the process. Okay, so let's have a look at this arm coming back. Now, still think it's a little bit too far away from the body at this point. So it's just a case of going in and adding more keys where they're needed. I'm also going to add a bit more lag to the upper arm as it comes down. And just offset that so it swings through. And the same thing with the wrist. I'm just going to break that a little bit as it comes through on the in-between and offset that. So the upper arm is now coming through and the wrist is lagging behind, and at this point it's going to follow through. Okay, so it's literally just a case of going through each controller and making sure it's doing exactly what you want. Okay, because the computer will give you very strange in-betweens that you don't necessarily want. So it can be a bit of a fight against the computer sometimes to get it looking right, but that's part of animation. Okay, I'm just going to copy what I did for the wrist on this side as well. So at this point it's rotated this way. Okay, as it comes through, the upper arm hits at this point, and I'm just going to offset the wrist coming through. So I'm putting a key every few frames to make sure it's doing exactly what I want it to do. Okay, and if I had the time as well, you know, I'd do some work on the hands as well, make sure that the fingers are lagging behind, so just to draw that arc a little bit more. I'll do that quickly, just for this one. Okay. Cool guys, so I think we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching. If you've watched this far, please subscribe for more video tutorials. Got a lot more planned. If you could give this video a like, that would really help the channel out, and you know, share this video with your friends if you think they'll find it helpful. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.